Aaron Jackson podcast.
You know, people be wanting me to get on the platform and talk about finances and speak about how to make more money and what you investing in, Trev. Talk more about real estate, the stock market, talk about how you get your money because that's what the people really want to know. People are living in transformational times dealing with, it's a silent recession going on. And I really don't like talking about finances on my channel because I'm not a financial guru. I don't want to lead people down destruction and none of that. I really don't want to have conversations or deal with individuals wanting to, learn about money. I think that's a personal thing for some reason. But as of lately, this is a 2-month-old podcast that we about to talk about. But the clip from this podcast just went viral as of recently of Odell Beckham Jr. talking about 100 M's. Can 100 M's last a lifetime? Now, last weekend, we was just talking about Joel Santana saying that kids don't need to learn how to read books. They need to learn financial literacy, when reading and understanding is actually what literate means. So we living in times, to me, to where people have obtained a lot of money at an early age. And I feel as if they didn't know what to do with it, or they didn't know nothing about finances at all. They was millionaires as a kid and didn't have no life experiences. Let's get into the clip, and we're going to converse about it once the clip is done. Let's do it.
That headspace with everything.
You know what I think? I think to a private conversation I had with a brother of mine just recently, and he's kind of getting towards that. And I think it's up to us. And I don't know what it is, and it's a side conversation, aside from this, that like, it's kind of up to us to create a community, because there is that leaving the game identity part that is very real, that I feel like we don't address or take as serious, because you never know how it hits you until it does. And I think there's a community that we build. I don't know what it is, again, like I said, but for me, speaking just on myself, I'm like, my mind is just too strong. One, I'm also in a position where I'm kind of backed by a lot more than like what everybody else might possibly have. Like, I know, like, I'm gonna be straight after football, period. If I didn't have $1 in my account right here today as we speak, I'm gonna be straight for the rest of my life. No question, right? I don't think everybody is in that. And when you've sacrificed your whole life to get here, and you're like, yeah, I played 10 years in the league. And I always explain this to people, I'm like, bro, you give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract, right? What is it really? It's 5 years for 60. You're getting taxed. Do the math. That's 12 a year, that you have to spend, use, save, invest, flaunt, like whatever, however, just being real. I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna give my mama a house, I'm gonna do, everything costs money. So if you spending $4 million a year, that's really $40 million over 5 years, 8 a year, And now you start breaking down the numbers, it's like, that's a 5-year span of where you're getting $8 million. Can you make that last forever? And you always hear the people who ain't us and ain't been in the position, like, oh, well, that would last a lifetime. Yeah, this job that I sacrificed my whole life for, they are giving me that. I didn't ask for the certain dollar amount or whatever, but we weren't taught about no financial literacy and all the way. We weren't
talk about it all the time.
We weren't taught this skill, and it's kind of like, I'll keep this one under wraps, but I got some things in the work that, like, I'm gonna be able to, the generations that are coming up behind us, when you talk about the storm that me and like moms went through, like, I'll be able to be that for somebody else, and to be able to help their family on how things are gonna go and yada, yada, yada. And like, if I didn't make, I'll take $1. But if I didn't make $1 from any of these kids, but I could give them the knowledge and the wisdom that I didn't know, I'm doing my part. Like, when I lay in that kerosene, like, I know, like, I did my role. I know I did the things that I needed to do and provided for the generations coming behind us. So then that way they had a foundation, now they can lay it for the ones that's coming, after them.
I like the ideology and the perspective that he wants to, create a foundation, create a community. That was a key word that I heard, because community is key. A lot of communities that was created in the black stratosphere, the black world, to benefit and to help all race, the Tulsas and the Wilmingtons, and just a lot of our communities was destroyed. And I hate talking about it. It was destroyed by the political structure. I don't want to blame it on white people, on an individual group of people, but I feel like the rights for the destruction was prioritized by the politicians. So let's get into this conversation. He said this game that you sacrifice your whole life for. Most people retire in the NFL before I'm 45, first of all. Most people retire from the NFL when they 35, 36 years old. So sacrificing your whole life is cap, OBJ. It's cap. You got a whole life to live after the league. My life didn't start transforming till I was in my 30s into what I really wanted to become. Because, listening to him speak, it seems like he could be out of touch with reality. And I understand it. I'm not going to speak maliciously about Odell Beckham. I understand a lot of people are out of touch with reality. When we talked about Joel Santana, he was a millionaire. He was 17, 18 years old with the Dipset. That's not the reality of everybody else's life. Odell Beckham Jr. being a millionaire and people clapping for him and hollering for him. He was a superstar at LSU. I went to a couple of the games when they came to Knoxville and played them Vols. And the Honey Badger and all them boys was on the team. Them boys was superstars. Early, young. And you can be out of touch with reality thinking that a certain amount of money is like the 100 M's. The average working individual who makes 60 to 70K a year only touches $2 million throughout their whole lifetime. And that's with retirement and everything. $2 million. So it's interesting to hear him say, can 100 M's last a lifetime? What I think about lasting, and him saying that sacrifice your whole life lasting, it's a statement that goes around that I come to find true, that the old heads used to say, nothing lasts forever. Money, relationships, life, homes, nothing lasts forever. Even though some people die and they leave a legacy and they leave finances, generational wealth, that's what we call it. Nothing lasts forever, big dog. Money is an energy to me. Money is decision making. Money is based upon relationships and, choices that you make to obtain it, to keep it, and to evolve it. That's just how I feel about it. I know 100 M's, if you get it in LA or New York or something like that, and you have to pay those stupendous state taxes, you're getting half of what you work for. 100 automatically drops to 50. You got an agent. They want 15% of that 100 off the top. So it dropped to 85, then the taxes, now you're at 40. But it's all about decision making. It got to come to a point. Like, I talk to people, and once I hear them start competing with me about material items and things, I remove myself. I ain't in competition with nobody. I'm not trying to be cuter than you or have more than you. I don't care what you got. I celebrate you when I see you achieve something that you've been working hard for, but I ain't in competition with nobody, man. That's just, what I'm saying? Some crazy foolishness. I think I said everything from my notes. Is he out of touch with reality? Most people that become millionaires at a young age are out of touch with reality. decision making, that's all money is. You know, the key thing that I wanted to convey to y'all is that to obtain it, you know, it's easy to obtain it. To keep it, it takes discipline. To evolve it, it's a whole nother level of evolving your finances. So, you know, I've seen people in my life that was happy with 20K, and I've seen people in my life that was miserable with millions. Can 100 M's last a lifetime? Nothing's forever. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing is going to last forever. Real talk. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Leave y'all perspective in the comment section so we can further the discussion. Thank y'all, man. Peace, love, plenty of abundance. Make sure you go get you some money, and I'm gone. Chill.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.